Most people go through life making decisions without really understanding how they think. They rely on instinct, emotion, or repetition of past behaviors. But there's a more effective way to approach life, one that thinkers and problem solvers have used for centuries. That way is through mental models. Mental models are frameworks or concepts that help us understand how the world works. They are like internal maps. Just like a map helps you navigate physical space, mental models help you navigate ideas, choices, and situations. The better your mental models, the better your thinking. Mental models simplify complex systems. They are not always perfectly accurate, but they are useful. A good mental model captures the core of a situation so you can make smarter choices, avoid errors, and predict consequences. When you think clearly, you act wisely. But without mental models, your thinking becomes reactive and scattered. Let's take an example. Imagine you're trying to fix a leaking pipe under your sink. If you know nothing about plumbing, you might randomly try to tape it, push it tighter, or even hit it with a tool, hoping it works. But someone who understands basic plumbing models knows that water pressure, seals, and connections play a role. That person can diagnose the issue, test solutions, and avoid making it worse. Mental models work the same way in life. If you understand how systems operate, whether it's in psychology, business, relationships, or society, you make better judgments. Charlie Munger, the longtime business partner of Warren Buffett, famously emphasized the importance of mental models. He said you need to have a toolbox of them, not just one or two. If all you have is a hammer, you'll treat everything like a nail. But life doesn't give you only nails. You need different tools for different problems. Let's explore some foundational mental models, especially those that relate to psychology and human behavior. The first is incentives. People are motivated by incentives, rewards, and punishments. If you want to understand why someone does something, look at what they gain from it. If a worker cuts corners, maybe the company rewards speed over quality. If a student cheats, maybe they're under pressure to perform and see no other way. Incentives shape behavior more than intentions do. So, if you want to change behavior, yours or others, change the incentives. Another powerful model is confirmation bias. Humans tend to seek information that supports their existing beliefs and ignore or dismiss information that contradicts them. This happens unconsciously. If you believe a certain diet works, you'll remember every story or article that supports it, and you'll forget or discredit those that don't. This leads to poor decisions and rigid thinking. To overcome confirmation bias, train yourself to actively look for disconfirming evidence. Ask, "What if I'm wrong?" Or, "What would change my mind?" Opportunity cost is another useful model. It comes from economics but applies to daily life. Whenever you choose one thing, you are giving up the benefits of something else. If you spend an hour watching videos, that's an hour you didn't use learning, exercising, or relaxing. People often ignore opportunity costs because the cost isn't obvious. But smart decision makers always ask, what else could I be doing with this time or money? Then there's the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. It states that 80% of results often come from 20% of inputs. In many situations, a small number of actions create most of the outcomes. A few customers generate most of a company's revenue. A few habits cause most of your stress. A few topics give you most of your learning. This model teaches focus. Instead of spreading your energy equally, identify and prioritize the vital few tasks or behaviors that produce the biggest impact. Second-order thinking is another powerful concept. It means thinking beyond the immediate result and considering the long-term or indirect consequences. For example, if a company lowers prices to attract more customers, that may boost sales in the short term, but in the long run it might hurt profits, attract price-sensitive buyers, and trigger a price war. Second-order thinking asks, and then what? It pushes you to think in layers, not just lines. From psychology, we can draw on the model of social proof. Humans are influenced by what others are doing. If people see a crowd gathering, they assume something important is happening. If a restaurant is full, others assume the food must be good. Social proof is useful. It saves time and reduces risk. But it can also lead to herd behavior, where people follow blindly. This is how bubbles form in markets and rumors spread in society. Understanding social proof helps you resist following the crowd when it's irrational. Another core model is feedback loops. A feedback loop occurs when the output of a system influences its own input. For example, in a positive feedback loop, success leads to more success. A popular YouTuber gets more views, which boosts their visibility, leading to even more views. In a negative feedback loop, a system self-corrects. If your body temperature rises, you sweat to cool down. Recognizing these loops helps you understand why systems behave the way they do and how to intervene. First principles. Thinking is a model from physics and used often by Elon Musk. Instead of reasoning by analogy or tradition, doing something because that's how it's always been done, you break a problem down to its basic truths. Then you build up from there. For instance, instead of accepting that batteries are expensive, Musk asked, "What are the raw materials in a battery and what do they cost?" This allowed him to innovate. You can apply this in your own life. Don't just ask, "What should I do?" Ask, "What is the real problem I'm solving?" Let's not forget the law of diminishing returns. It states that the more you invest in something, the less return you get after a certain point. The first hour of studying is often very productive. The fifth hour, not so much. The first push-up builds strength. The 100th might lead to exhaustion or injury. This model reminds us that more is not always better. Balance and moderation often outperform extremes. Sunk cost fallacy is another trap many fall into. It means continuing something just because you've already invested time, money, or effort into it, even if it's no longer working. For example, staying in a bad relationship because we've been together for 5 years, or continuing a project that is clearly failing because we've spent so much money already. Smart thinkers ignore sunk costs. They base decisions on future value, not past investment. Now consider regression to the mean. In many systems, extreme outcomes tend to move back toward average over time. A student who scores extremely high on a test might score closer to average next time, not because they did worse, but because extreme results often involve some luck. The same happens with sports performance, stock prices, or viral content. Recognizing this prevents overreaction to short-term ups and downs. There's also availability bias, where people overestimate the importance of information that's easy to recall. If a plane crash is on the news, people may believe flying is more dangerous than it is, even though it's statistically safer than driving. This bias affects risk perception, judgments, and memory. To combat it, rely on data and probabilities, not just vivid stories. Another key model is leverage. Leverage means using a small input to produce a large output. It can be in the form of tools, systems, people, or capital. For instance, recording a video once can reach thousands of people. Writing one useful article can bring visitors for years. Leverage amplifies your effort. If you understand leverage, you stop chasing effort and start building systems. All these mental models, while separate, are most powerful when combined. The best thinkers don't rely on just one way of seeing the world. They draw from multiple disciplines: psychology, economics, biology, engineering. This creates what Munger called a lattice work of models. When you approach a problem, you can view it from different angles, test your assumptions, and choose the right mental tool for the job. But learning mental models is not enough. You have to practice using them. Ask yourself, what model applies here? When making decisions, evaluating advice, or solving a problem. Over time, they become second nature. You'll find that your decisions become clearer, your stress reduces, and your understanding of people and systems deepens. Ultimately, mental models are about improving your thinking. Better thinking leads to better outcomes, not instantly, but steadily. Just as physical tools make physical work easier, mental models make mental work sharper. They won't guarantee success, but they dramatically increase your chances of avoiding failure, seeing reality clearly, and choosing wisely. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on human psychology, self-awareness, and mental growth.